Are you visited by various ET beings that materialize even in your presence?
Not anymore. That was years ago. I keep myself in protection techniques, and I just keep those things away.
Okay. But when you tap into things, I mean, in other words, I assume there are times when through meditation you're tapping into certain things. But on the other hand, are you ever receiving messages per se, or whatever, you might call them, intuitions or whatever about coming events, etc.?
Yes, of course I do, but I question them because I always test to see if that's from programming or if it's legitimate. I always test it, and by flushing the information with violet, it keeps it in protection. By using the brown merger symbol at the pineal gland, that will preclude any programming information from coming through. Using oversoul symbol of silver infinity over the crown chakra will basically keep you connected to the God mind within and the oversoul. So I use protocols to focus on real information instead of what might be programming or misinformation that might be coming through.
I understand. And as far as the United States in the next year or two, are you seeing, as I mentioned, the downturn in the economy, any kind of civil war, that sort of thing?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have been saying on my website that the second half of this year is going to be very volatile in the United States. I think there's going to be terrorist attacks within the country by American terrorists, if you will, the so-called militia and those kind of groups that will be attacking the government. But again, even these militia groups are setups because the government uses it to say, you see, we need to have martial law. We need to then impose more sanctions and controls in the United States so that these groups cannot function. And then it moves into other things. So I would tell people to be very cautious this, especially when you're in crowded areas like big cities, shopping malls, tourist attractions, even Disney World, this kind of thing. Be very careful and cautious about who and what's around you. Plan an escape route wherever you are so you can exit quickly. Do feel something very bad will happen in this country and in Europe within the second half of this year.
Okay, well, we're nearly in the second half of this year. I assume you're starting, you're talking about May or June.
Well, I think summertime onward.
Okay. And let me see. You had talked I think somewhere, I have a friend who wants me to ask this question. You mentioned going to Peru. Do you consider that there are certain places that are safer than others, and is Peru some place where you consider to be, for some reason, safe?
I was just there in January, and it was rather safe. They do still have some elements of terrorists up in the mountains, but most people don't go to those locations. Machu Picchu, for example, recently has the roads leading up to it have been flooded, so that's not a good place to go right now. But the big cities are perfectly fine. The only big danger, I would say, was seismic activity, which could happen really at any time. But if you keep yourself in protection, you'll be okay.
Okay. And do you see, for example, volcanic eruptions in the United States, super volcano like Yellowstone, other places erupting like Iceland recently?
Yes, and I've, again, written about this constantly on my site. I'm actually very concerned about the Pacific Northwest, Mount Rainier, Mount Baker, Mount Hood. That chain of volcanoes is filling with magma and starting to quake a bit. Even Lake Mammoth in California, the steam vents have been opening up for the last couple of years and fracturing. I think California is very volatile right now. The volcanoes in Hawaii are also very dangerous. But I think one of the largest ones we have to be concerned about are the volcanic chains in eastern Siberia and in Indonesia, which are so huge that if they were to erupt, even if 2 or 3 were to erupt simultaneously, they would put enough ash and dust in the atmosphere to create very cold summers and extremely brutal winters for many years to come. And I think that we are in the just about the edge or verge of that about to happen. And therefore, I tell people to keep storing, clean food, water that can last a bit of time. If you have a greenhouse and grow things indoors, I think that's wise too.
Okay, and are you aware of space fleets taking possibly terraforming other planets as an option?
From this planet or from other worlds?
Going elsewhere. In other words, evacuating.
Yeah, I think, the Illuminati already have plans like that for the moons of Saturn and Jupiter. They've talked about it even. They're even looking for Earth-like worlds in other solar systems. So, yes, they are absolutely planning things like that. But not for evacuation. I don't want to use that word. I'll say colonization.
Okay, okay. All right, well, we're actually winding down. Again, this is Project Camelot, ProjectCamelotPortal.com or ProjectCamelot.org. Carrie Cassidy from Whistleblower Radio. And Stuart Swerdlow, thank you so much for being with me for the last 2 hours. I know we've sort of battered you with questions right and left, but people out there have tons of curiosity, and at least the people that we're dealing with, and it's valuable to get someone who was involved in Montauk and also, has some of the abilities you have to share with the public in this way. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that you invited me on, and it was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you. And again, could you give your website, and then we'll just sign off here.
Yes, my website is www.expansions.com. News updates, Q&A every single day. Please sign on and look in and learn whatever you want to learn.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stuart. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
On the bedroom floor, these quiet eyes are spinning in the dark. A secret wish that none will know, she keeps it locked up in her pale heart. Wait for it, it's tired and it's true. Wait for it, it's all she ever knew. She dreams in blue. She dreams in blue. Wait for it, it's all she ever knew. The background hum of city streets and whispers from the neighbors intertwine. The distant glow of beacon lights breaking through the cracks between the lines. Wait for it, it's hiding out of view. Wait for it, it's all she ever knew. She